Welcome to the Open Space and Ecology meeting of September 24th, 2025. By now, I should have this first part memorized, but I never do. So we'll start with the roll. First of all, I guess I'm supposed to ask if there's anybody who, remote participation. Do I need to go through all of this?
I don't believe so. I think it's
Okay.
pretty self-explanatory.
So I think I can just skip to roll call.
Great.
So Rohandra,
Present.
Mary,
Present.
Aaron,
Present.
Julie,
Present.
Anthony,
Present. Is that? Yes. Present, yes.
and Michelle. I'm here. So everyone's here. And then we need consider any requests for a committee member. We don't do that because we're all here. And let's skip to adoption of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye.
don't need to do roll call,
Aye.
do I, for that?
It's not necessary because you're all here.
Okay. Okay. Are there any questions about the minutes from our last meeting?
Yes, there's one omission that I'd like to address.
Okay.
I brought up the issue of whether or not the Crocker frog habitat destruction had been taken up with the owner, since that was an open item for so long, and staff didn't have a yes or no answer at that time. But I think it should be on the minutes just to see if we ever got closure on that.
So noted.
Okay. So can we make that correction on the minutes? Is there anything else that we need to include in the minutes that's not here?
I have a comment about the way something went down in the last meeting that I think we talked about, and we're going to hold until which section? Because otherwise I want to address it now.
You can go ahead and address it now. It's fine.
Okay, so this is not necessarily related to the minutes, but in the last meeting, we were notified that someone had put in a request to include a particularly nasty tree on the invasives list. And as a group on the fly, we made a decision. I think what we need instead is, I don't disagree with that decision, and I'm gonna, suggest we keep it. But I'm also afraid that the spirit of that invasives list, which was to be not very onerous on the citizens of Brisbane, got lost in that discussion. And so I'm gonna suggest that we re-stand up or develop a process to deal with stuff like that, where it's researched and thoughtful, and we make a decision about, whether or not something crosses some threshold to make it onto that list. So probably get to that in committees, but that's how I feel on that, and we need a process.
I agree with you, and I was probably, kind of responsible for that because, of course, as soon as someone said tree of heaven, I'm like, black locust. It's been the bane of my life for several years now in our yard. We still cannot get rid of it, and now it's sprouting in other people's yards on our street. And we paid over $1,000 to have that tree removed several years ago, and it's still stump sprouting. So,
And I'm just going to follow up, Michelle, and say, in this case, because I tried to research it too, can we get the scientific name so that we know unambiguously what species we're talking about? Because I looked it
Yes.
up and it wasn't entirely clear that that isn't applied to multiple things.
yes, I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Just to clarify, it sounds like what I'm hearing is we want to potentially have a process put in place. Would that go then through the tree subcommittee, or would you prefer it go to the entire body?
We used to have an invasive subcommittee.
Okay.
However, two of the previous members of that committee are no longer on the on OSEC.
Got it.
So I think I'm the only remaining person, so we should discuss whether or not we want to stand that committee back up for next year.
Okay.
Make it an ad hoc, quick thing, or really if, I don't know the right thing, because it's also a process that we're talking about more than an actual dealing with an invasive
Right.
plant itself.
Okay, well, we can definitely agendize it and bring that back with maybe some thoughts around what that process might look like. And you guys can all provide some opinions on
Just,
how you want that process to look.
just to make a note.
Yeah.
We don't have an invasive species ordinance. It is included in the fire safety thing.
Correct.
So if we want to have an ordinance, then we would need to re-stand up that committee and have a separate ordinance. And we may want to think about doing that, but I think that can just be tabled for a little while. But can we bring this back in the next meeting as an action item for the entire committee?
Yes,
And then
absolutely.
we can just knock that one off and then definitely have a more formal procedure like we did originally. Because we don't want to make it onerous, but it is a very powerful tool to help people not plant invasives. So, yeah, thank you
Okay.
for bringing that up.
Mhm.
Is there any other things? And do we have a motion to approve the minutes with the addition of what Julie said?
I will motion to approve the minutes with the addition of what Julie said.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I wasn't here, so you need to exclude.
Okay,
Aye.
okay, all right. All right. Next is oral communications. Do we have any oral communications? No? No?
No.
Okay. Oh. That should have been actually before approval of minutes. Okay. Old business. Ken, you're old business.
I am.
Would you like to come up to the podium or do you want to sit there?
I think this is
Okay, speak loudly
Comfortable
into
here.
the microphone so that everybody can hear you.
for sure. And
Okay.
yeah, if you can't, let me know. Thank you and good evening. It's good to see you all again. So the purpose of this workshop tonight is for staff to receive comments that the committee may have on the update to the open space element. As you know, the open space element is one of the state-required elements of the city's general plan. Tonight's workshop is to follow up on the one that was held on May 28th. And at that meeting, the committee indicated a desire to retain the original policies and programs from the current open space element as adopted in 1994 to the extent reasonable, practical. Staff's memo for tonight includes the preliminary draft element. It also includes a comparison table to show the proposed goals, policies, and programs alongside those that were previously adopted. Staff has updated the policies and programs from the May draft with the eye to retain as much as possible from within the updated element. Additionally, the draft text for the body of the element is now included in your copy, and that provides more context for the goals, policies, and programs. Included with that is some explanatory text about the 2001 Open Space Plan and an added program to update that plan by 2028. As indicated in the 2001 plan, it was not adopted as part of the general plan as an amendment to the open space element, but rather it referenced the goals, the policies and programs from that 1994 element, and served as essentially an implementation plan. And while much of that implementation plan, especially related to the acquisition of lands for open space, it remains valid and good. It will require an update for consistency because we'll have new programs, of course, with the new element. Also note that the draft element includes a set of maps to show existing open space resources. These maps show such things as land dedicated to parks, open space, the Bay Trail, so on. We are also working on a table and map of vacant lands citywide, which may be used for tracking potential opportunity sites, and that's for future planning. And this is also to address Senate Bill 1425, which was enacted in 2023. And that calls for maintaining an inventory of vacant sites citywide. As a practical matter, the maps are intended to be updated over time to provide reference materials in the annual reporting to City Council on open space in planning for potential acquisitions especially. The draft that's before you tonight is fairly complete, but there are still some details to fill in, like the completion of the mapping that I just mentioned, and just kind of scouring through for errata and that kind of thing. So following receipt of comments from this committee, our aim is to release a complete draft in October, and tentatively we're scheduling a Planning Commission hearing for November. We may actually have a workshop with Planning Commission before that. And that would then be followed by City Council hearing in December. Our aim is to have this adopted by the end of the year. The Senate Bill 1425 has a date of January 1st. It's an aggressive timeline. What I've heard from a lot of other cities throughout the county is they're not expecting to make it. We hope that we will. We would like to. And so with that, I will turn it back to the committee. If you have any discussion, questions, comments, happy to hear them.
I have some questions and comments. So I requested for us to understand the difference between the open space plan and the open space element. And so that's kind of hard to decipher looking at all the data that you've provided us. But what I heard you say earlier was the open space plan is not up for revision until 2028. Is that correct?
That's a tentative date. Ultimately, it's up to City Council if they think that date is reasonable with the other things on their schedule coming up. But that was something that staff thought might be a reasonable date for that. So essentially, when that was adopted, it states within the first page or two of that plan that it's not part of the general plan, but essentially it serves to implement the
Yeah, so
the
that's my
programs.
question. How do we get alignment if we're not going to update the open space plan until 2028? And this is getting it, we want it aligned with the open space element, which feeds any other development projects such as the Baylands and the Quarry. So we want to make sure that our open space plan is consistent throughout all of these upcoming developments. So how do we do that?
Well, the Baylands specific plan and the Quarry have their own process that are
But they
already
reference open space, and so people look at the open space definition and think about it differently in all of those developments. So I guess I'm worried about that not being true to the open space plan, which it should be.
What I'll do is I will take your comment forward to city attorney and also to
I mean, it's all
the
about
director.
alignment, so there isn't any question down the road on what open space should be. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but that's what I don't see in these documents. Also, it would be nice to see a comparison as it stands today with the open space plan of 2021 compared to the open space element that you've pulled together and what the differences are.
Well, essentially, so the table two that you have in your packet essentially lists the different policies and programs from 1994 as well as what's currently proposed. And so a comparison of those, I don't think you'll find conflict in there. It's more about
But
clarification.
it's hard to do that, looking at this. It would be easier if they were lined up next to each other to understand where the potential gaps may be. Because I think you're going to get a lot of questions on this document. It's not easily to identify what might not be aligned.
Okay. Your your concern, your comment is noted for sure.
Okay.
And I will bring that up with the community development director or city attorney, and I'm sure we'll be talking with city manager as well,
Okay.
and try to address that as best we can. I'm not sure if I have a satisfactory answer for you
Yeah.
of how to do that.
Because it is, the
exactly now.
process is inconsistent. So if we're updating the open space element, that should tie back to the open space plan, but the open space plan's not going to get updated till 2028, and this document has to be done this year. So that's a huge
It's
issue.
it's a concern that's kind of been thrust on us by the state in terms of putting a date that of January 2026 on cities, which is, I don't know where they came up with that date, but for individual cities, it's really an arbitrary date, I would say, and it makes it difficult. And
I mean, it's going to make it difficult for any other document that comes through OSEC to really, say yay or nay, because it's not referring to the most updated open space plan.
Yeah, just
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, just to add on that, we've had a lot of discussion in this group already about the definition of open space, open area, public open space, public open area, habitat open space. So we wanted to make sure that all those terms are aligned correctly when we're doing this, because even Measure JJ specifies that, and it refers back to the 2001 Open Space Plan. So we just want to make sure that we're all in alignment with the language that we use and what it means in the definition of it.
right, and on the definition, so at the end of the draft element that's before you, there is a glossary, and so what staff has done and is pulled up the definition of open space, and it's from the state law, essentially.
Oh, I didn't see a glossary. Did I miss that?
Open area is not,
There's no glossary in what we got.
Actually, it's right before that section. It's
sorry, it's
between the
before the
map and the
maps.
section you're looking at, Michelle.
It's between the
Yeah,
map.
it's before these tables.
before the maps all
And
start.
I was actually going to congratulate you on having that glossary in there. Glossaries and acronyms lists make documents so easy. So I was going to suggest an acronym list. But the one thing I noticed when you quoted the document, or the definition from the open space, from the California Code of Open Space, it says use as defined in this section, in that second line there. And I think that means there's a definition separate from what is copied here, unless it means the bullets below it, but those are referred to differently, so it feels like there might be something missing.
I'll take a look at that.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
I must be blind. I'm not seeing it in the printed draft I have.
It says
Page
page
19.
19, but it's after the maps. After the,
It's not after the maps here, so I'm just looking real quick.
I have a simpler comment. There's just a typographical error.
Okay,
Ecosystem spelled with a hyphen is inconsistent. It's spelled as a single word everywhere else. I think it's around page 16, but it'll be easy to find.
great, thank you.
Okay. In this packet, it's on page 26. So, okay, found it, missed it while I was going through it. Does, Rohandra, do you have questions? No. Okay. Aaron, do you have questions? Or Mary,
I have
were
a
you done?
few, actually. Can we go, sorry, this is gonna jump around. Can we go to page 4, and it's 4 in the label at the bottom right, not 4 in the PDF, because sometimes a title
Open
page
space
messes things
goals,
up. No, actually, yes, number 6.
yes, that is, that should go away.
Okay, good.
I
Perfect.
just caught that before the meeting, and
Okay.
it was essentially redundant with
Number
number 5.
5,
Number
yep.
5 expands on it, so.
Okay, great. And then down to os.2.c.2. Sorry,
OS.
I wish I had a page number for that one.
OS dot what?
os.2, oh, it's in chapter 2. Should
Is
be.
it before or after? Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dolores.
Is it after the maps?
I
No.
feel like it's not,
The
no, it's
beginning,
before
under
the,
inventories and
way before.
acquisitions?
Sorry.
Is it under inventory and acquisitions? That's OS2.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Let me see. Sorry, bear with me.
Oh, yes, so pause. Look at any of these lines. It says program OS.5.A. So can we go to OS.2,
OS.2 dot what, or just
dot
OS?
C, dot 2?
Dot C.
There we go.
Sorry, it seemed easier to give you those numbers. So my question is not related to that, but that becomes the example. The city in the maps, don't scroll to the maps. The city in the maps, it shows owns a lot of parcels that are within the PCA, the HCP, and the PPA. By the way, I'm going to recommend all of those get added to the acronym list or some sort of definitions, because I was
Yes.
once told what they were and I don't remember.
Yes.
But the city-owned parcels that are designated within the PCA, the HPC, and the PPA are not necessarily dedicated as open space. They're just city-owned properties within those areas. And so my comment actually has nothing to do with this document, except a little bit. The city has been pretty good at acquisitions, but as we know from the executive level, sometimes what government intends to do gets trumped by future leaders. So I'm worried that we will have a, city council that decides that it doesn't want all of the city acquired spots to be open space. And until we designate those city-owned properties as open space, they're not really protected. They're just city-owned areas within those priority conservation areas. So I just want to make sure that this document has the hooks in that motivates the city to designate those areas as open space per perpetuity. And I think this number is that, but if there's stronger language, I would advocate for that.
Okay,
Thank you.
good point.
And while we're on that section, just can I mention that where you have the CM and CC and CM and CC on both, all through OS2, OS2B2 and OS B5 and OS2B1, OS2C1 and OS2C2, those should include OSEC under city or body or department, because those are things that we would definitely want to weigh in on and advise on and that type of thing. And there were other areas that I wanted to include that too. But Julie, do you want to go next, or should I finish what I had on that? Do you have any comments? Okay. Yeah, Anthony? Okay. Well, then I'll go ahead. Did you have more, Erin? Okay. So, huh? Oh, yeah. Go ahead,
I had
Erin.
a tiny one. It's not for you, Ken, it's for us.
Yeah.
In this document, it gives OSEC the authority, requirement, whatever, to work with the schools more. And even though we do the Lippman Science Fair judging, I feel like that is an untapped resource and we need to do better than that. So it's not for you, Ken, it's for us. We have that in this document. I don't feel like it's in our work plan as well. So let's
No,
work on
it's
that
not in
next
our
year.
work plan. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
As I was going through this, I definitely had questions. In section OS 6.C 2 and 3, OSEC should be included. And then
Sorry, Michelle. OS what?
OS 6C sections 2 and 3. Yeah, OS 6 sections 2 and 3. OSEC should be included in those. And then in OS 7A, number 3 and 4. Why isn't the Brisbane Park and Rec Commission included in reviewing those? if OSEC's reviewing them, certainly they should be reviewing them as well.
Good point.
Okay, and then in OS 8, A and B, I don't think it's adequate that just the planning department reviews that. We do have a history committee, and if they don't want to do it, OSEC could do it. But for an example, there's the railroad tunnel number 165, which is a historical resource. And there's the railroad tunnel that goes from Crocker out to the Baylands. And there's the ice house. And there are other, there's historical remnants on the Levinson property and other areas where there are things of historical significance. And some of it is, blinded because of archaeological reasons, but still, those of us who have a long history would be able to say, well, now you need to consult the archaeological record, because even with the development of the Baylands, there's 2 ships, that flatbed ships like the Alma, that were discovered and then recovered out in the cove. I'm not exactly sure which side of the line it falls on, but those are archaeological and historical things, and I don't think it should just be left up to one department to oversee that, the community development department, because I think the people of Brisbane have a very vested interest in our historical elements, and many of them have been lost over the years because of that. Houses built on shell mounds, etc. So I think it's important that there's more oversight than just the community development department on that.
Okay.
And then going back up to, I guess it was policy number 4. I'm not sure what policy number 4 was, but we talked about, in policy number 4, sorry, I should have written down the page number and I didn't. But we're talking about mitigations on new developments and that type of thing, water resources, number of seeps, springs, seasonal things, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the areas that I don't think that we're doing very well with is lot coverage. And I know that we have lot coverage rules about housing, the footprint of houses on lot coverage, but we don't have any really good rules about lot coverage when it comes to paving. And then just in the last couple of weeks, I've seen 2 properties that have been completely paved over during their remodel. And that means that water cannot soak in on those properties. And that directly relates the exorbitant cost of stormwater, of our stormwater, and what we're doing with that. And so I think that it's very important that we actually write that into this open space plan, an open space element, that we cannot overpave all natural dirt anywhere where water could soak in. We've lost numerous parking places on Visitation Avenue because we've had to accommodate 2 water wells. We've got one out here. But, people's yards should be soaking in water. And especially in a hilly terrain like this, where we have constant flooding that could be mitigated by not over paving, where water has a chance to soak in, contribute to groundwater, and not make it all the way down to the bay. And the same thing with projects like, that's one of the reasons why there's so much water flow off of the canyons. People think that the landslides that happened in Allen Buckeye were Mother Nature. No, it was a direct result of the wildland fires in 2008 that were started by arson that took out the canopy that absorbed all the water. And so it set us up for landslide failure. And that will continue to happen unless we pay attention to lot coverage. And this is one of the reasons why several years ago I opposed having interior courtyards count as open space when they were obviously being paved over and then covered over. So I think that that's an area that really needs to be included in here, and I don't see it. And then when they talked about property, and this is in OS 4A2. OS 4A2, A2. Oh, sorry.
That's on page 10.
Yeah, I got it. The city shall discourage and oppose any attempted conversion of dedicated open space to urban uses and shall not authorize or approve the relinquishment, abandonment, or release of any open space dedication unless there is a finding of a compelling and overriding public interest and public benefit to be served. And then also in OS, and I can't help but think about the open space that, even though it was very small, that we gave up when we sold property to Shanghai Bakery and when we sold property to the landowner who now hosts Frito-Lay. And that was public trail property that we sold. And I think that that's a problem. We need to be careful about that. Because I can see other areas, little strips of land here and there, they get bitten off or given away or sold. And it's hard. Unfortunately, for the Frito-Lay project, we did turn around and the council dedicated those funds specifically to buying open space. But the money from the Shanghai Bakery was used in a variety of ways that did not include necessarily land acquisition.
Michelle, can I pile on to your comment here?
Yeah.
The number you just read says conversion of dedicated open space.
Yeah.
So that's not even vacant property. That's land that they dedicated, which goes back to my comment earlier. So I would actually revise that to say city-owned or whatever open space.
Yeah.
Because once it's been dedicated, it shouldn't be converted, sold, or anything else.
Yeah, and all those years, the acres that we bought to be dedicated for open space were not deed restricted through an error or I don't know why they weren't, but they are now. But that's why that raised a red flag for me. So we need to tighten this up so that we are not destroying what open space the city owns without proper oversight, really proper oversight. Like, for instance, the idea that we're going to close Quarry Road to make it a private road. No, that's property that's been given to the people. So, and the railroad trails, property that was given to the people. So I just want to make sure that we're not doing that.
I'm just going to jump in. OS 4.8.4, that's the rogue hyphen in ecosystems.
Gotcha.
So-
Thank you.
I haven't had a chance to go through all of every single thing that's written here yet, but I'm hoping that we can, all of us, read this really very thoroughly with an eye to preservation and make copious notes. It was really hard to make notes because I didn't have a copy I could make notes in, and I didn't have a printed copy. So over the course of the next month, can we put this high on our personal agendas, perhaps, to take care of that?
Let's ask Ken, actually. This is a draft, you're gonna take our feedback, and you want it to go to the Planning Commission in November. So when would you stop accepting feedback? And at some point, we might need to make a public comment. And I know we all have a lot of reading to do because of the Baylands specific plan as well. So what's your schedule, Ken?
Well, I would say you can provide comment all the way up to when it goes to city council. So if something was not caught before that, and it's still of concern,
But
the committee has that option to, so that we're looking at a tentative date of, I think it's their first meeting of December. That's not a special meeting, a regular meeting. But my intent is probably, I think we're going to probably try to get this in front of the Planning Commission in a workshop for them as well at their second meeting, so the fourth Thursday of October, and then do a public hearing in November. That's tentative plan anyhow.
So then to Dolores, do we need a template so that we have some kind of structure in our commenting like we have for everything else?
Or should we just submit our comments directly? Because we won't have, our meeting will just be a few days before,
Yes. I was gonna say, that might be a better question for Ken, how he wants to see the comments. I don't mind sending you guys a template for that as well. Or if you just want to do individual comments, I'm not sure, whatever Ken thinks is better.
I think it's probably easier if it and cleaner if it comes from the committee versus
Yeah.
you as individuals. And
Have you seen the
Comes
template?
through your staff. I have not.
Yeah,
no.
we should show him, I mean, not necessarily right now, give him a glance at what we used for the DEIR.
Yeah, no, we can definitely send that over to Ken. And just through the chair, we are a little bit over for this topic.
okay,
So if we want to move on,
yeah, okay. Thank you, Ken, for all of the work and for hearing our voices.
Thank you. And thanks for your thoughtful comments on this. I know
There'll be
you
more.
have a lot on your plate, and this is just adding to it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I appreciate that.
But this is one of the ones that's very near and dear to our hearts.
For
So
sure.
thank you. It is,
Yes.
it sets the stage for a lot of other stuff coming down the pike. So,
sure.
thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to our next favorite subject. Specific plan overview from the Baylands Development, Inc. Welcome, ladies, to the OSEC. Do you want to introduce your whole
Yeah,
group?
definitely. I'm Katie Loke Sunday, Director of Community Relations for the Baylands, and I'm joined by Stephanie Shakovsky and Michelle Lynn. And
dream
online,
team.
we also do have two folks from OJB, who is our open space consultant, and they helped significantly with the specific plan. And if we have them help answer questions, should they just raise their hand on the Zoom? Okay, so Allison and Dylan, I hope you heard that. Well, again, thank you so much for having us. We appreciate the opportunity to be here, and it sounds like our presentation is going to be very timely for some of the discussions that you all are having. So if we go to the next slide, just quick agenda. I'll start with a little bit of background on the specific plan, and then an overview specifically of the conservation and open space chapter, and then I'll leave some time for us to have some Q&A at the end. Next slide. So again, I think all of you clearly are familiar with the specific plan, and you probably know the history of the specific plan as well. But as a reminder, it came out of Measure JJ, and the intent of that document is to not only detail the land use program for the Baylands, but also to address some of these priority policy issues that you see on the slide here. But before I go into the rest of the presentation, I did want to clarify something. The specific plan is the developer's proposal for the project. The draft environmental impact report is a CEQA document, and that document studies the potential environmental impacts of the project that is described in the specific plan. And the DEIR is managed by the CEQA lead agency, which in this case is the City of Brisbane. So given that the DEIR is really the city's document, we are going to focus tonight's presentation just on the specific plan, since that is our document.
Can I ask a clarification question, or would you rather have me wait till the end?
If it's clarifying, then sure, go ahead.
Perfect. So the DEIR seemed to have a lot more information in it than is in the specific plan about the schedule of the project, the number of dirt trucks that need to be moved around, et cetera. Where did that come from?
Mostly from the city's consultants.
They made that up.
Well, I wouldn't say they made anything up. Usually they're using different sources of information. Where we could, we did answer some questions, and Michelle and Stephanie can speak more to that. But we really weren't engaged with the drafting of that document or the analysis. So the city engaged a CEQA consultant, and then they also used several other consultants for things like transportation, emissions, et cetera. And then that analysis is what informed the mitigation measures that were in there. Okay, thank you.
I also have a question. Sorry.
That's okay.
Did you take into account the information in the draft, specific plan draft EIR? Well, how can I phrase this? What came first, the chicken or the egg?
The specific plan came first, if that helps.
The specific plan came first, but did you take into account the program EIR when you made this specific plan?
Yeah, so there is reference in the specific plan to some of the mitigation measures in the program EIR. And then the new EIR does make reference as well to the
Okay,
program EIR.
And can I just ask how you chose the placement of different things that are in the specific plan?
When you're talking about placement, you mean chapter-wise or on the actual map?
On the actual land?
We can go through the
Okay.
land use
let's
in
do
a minute.
this then. Go ahead, sorry.
But I'm glad that there's a lot of enthusiasm for this. So we can go ahead to the next slide. And I think some of our sequential slides will help answer these questions. On this next slide, that's okay.
I told you it's a subject we just love. I've got it right here.
I know, this is great.
I carried it around
Well,
to
I
build
did
my
want to
muscles.
mention, obviously, if you've dug into the specific plan at all, you know it's a very long document. So I realistically am not going to be able to go over all of the content that's in there tonight. The slides that I'm going to go through are focused primarily on Chapter 5, Conservation and Open Space, since we thought that would be most relevant for this group. But if we have other questions, our team is here to respond to them, and anything that we don't cover in tonight's meeting, we're always happy to have follow-up discussions on that. So if we could go to the next slide. So this seems like a timely topic. The rendering that you see on this slide gives you an aerial view of the open space network that we're going to be discussing today. So more than 25% of the project is dedicated to open space. And I want to acknowledge that, as we just heard in the item before ours, that obviously this is a topic where we get a lot of questions because there are different definitions for open space and open area. Now, Measure JJ established that 25% of the land area on the Baylands development would be open space / open area. And again, I recognize, I think that's where some of the confusion comes from. But on this slide, everything that you see in green on that map is open space as defined in the general plan. And that includes the restored habitats on Icehouse Hill, that includes the new parks, like you can see there, Lagoon Park, Ecological Park, et cetera. That does not include the solar farm, and that does not include the lagoon.
So are you saying the solar farm is not considered open space?
Correct.
Okay, and that will be corrected in the plan, because right now there's a table in there that shows the solar farm as part of the open space square footage.
In the specific plan you're
In the
talking about, or
specific
the
plan.
EIR.
Yeah, the first one that we reviewed.
Okay, we
Yeah,
can take a
and
look
there's
at
a
that.
table in there that
Yeah.
shows that.
Sure, there is
Yeah.
a table that has the acreage, and
I would
we
like
can-
confirmation on that.
Yeah, we can verify that, but
Okay.
I can tell you just for this meeting in
No,
particular.
I get it,
Yeah,
but I'm
we
just
did.
bringing it up. Okay,
Absolutely, I
thank
appreciate
you.
that. And we did do some calculations to make
Okay.
sure. So again, yeah, the solar farm, the lagoon, those are not counted in this. And I did want to mention that additionally, on top of these open spaces, there are, of course, landscape setbacks, different kind of areas like that that fall into that category of open area. So if you were to combine these different areas, that's a really significant portion of our project. That's probably almost 40% of the project. But then when you're looking at this slide here, these green spaces alone are still more than 25% of the project. And that calculation was also done taking sea level rise into account. And the reason we really wanted to share this and make sure that this was clear is that an accessible, interconnected open space system is really the foundation of the specific plan. It's not just a feature. So this is really critical for us in this project. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So the Baylands Open Space Network includes a diverse range of typologies. They create habitats for flora and fauna, improve the quality of hydrologic systems, and provide recreation and connectivity opportunities for the Brisbane community. You can see on the slide some of the types of spaces we have are ecological green spaces, active recreation areas, community greens, trails and pedestrian networks, and a public urban plaza near the Caltrain station. Looking at the bottom of this map, this is where we can get into a little bit of the land use. Where you see the green around Lagoon Park, if we start from there, the primary focus at this south end of the development is open space and recreational uses. And most of these areas are existing natural habitats that we will attempt to enhance and restore. Then the open space extends north. You can kind of see it here weaving through the commercial district on the west side of the Caltrain tracks. And then it connects up with the renovated and restored roundhouse. And that will, of course, also be a new park around the roundhouse. And then continues on north through the residential. So everything you see, which is north of Main Street, so mostly that turquoise kind of area surrounding that is the residential. And then there's some commercial, and then everything on the east side of the Caltrain that is in kind of gray is commercial, and then the solar farm also is in gray. And I just wanted to give an example of scale here as well, because it's hard when you're looking at this 2D map and trying to, you know, imagine in your head what this looks like. But if you take the linear park, for example, that's in turquoise, extending north of the Roundhouse Park, it looks like a tiny little strip of green. I recognize that. But in reality, this park is actually about the width of the Panhandle in San Francisco. So if you know that park, it's really quite significant. And again, that's one of the smaller parks on here, and that's a very large amount of land. So I really wanted to help illustrate the scale of this open space network on the Baylands. Throughout the project, of course, there will also be an extensive pedestrian and bike network that connects not just the areas within the Baylands, but the surrounding communities as well, so that folks can all enjoy these new spaces. And one thing I also wanted to highlight here is that before any work is done to construct these facilities, our first step will be environmental remediation. Our priority is making sure that this site is absolutely safe for all residents, all visitors, and that's our number one thing that we're focused on. And that's why agencies like the Department of Toxic Substances Control, the San Francisco Bay Regional Water Quality Control Board, the San Mateo County Environmental Health Department have approved our cleanup plans and will be overseeing the remediation process to ensure that the site is cleaned up effectively.
The legend at the very bottom, there's a note
Yes.
saying that it includes 27 acres of land that can be occupied by the permitted uses specified in Table 2.2, Chapter 2. What are those uses?
Yeah, do you want to answer that, Michelle?
Quickly, I'll try. So as Katie mentioned earlier, that we actually have more than 25% of open space, right? So, and then we know that a lot of open space, you know, they actually include some educational institutions, or they're like museums. So since we have more than 25% of open space, without some of those space, the extra ones, we can actually be a future museums or something that can be compatible with the open space use. And so we kind of left it there just to show that that's the amount of actually land space that's extra than that 25% of open space that we can dedicate it for educational and some other.
So what's the total square foot, how many acres in your calculation are considered open space?
Oh, do you have the number exactly? Oh, acres.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It's 157. It says right there.
157 acres? Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you, thank you.
All right, where were we? If we want to go
I'm
to
gonna
the next slide.
I'm gonna jump in this one again because this is related to the DEIR. You just made a comment about the environmental restoration, and what was in the DEIR was a good start, but there was stuff in there like we're gonna, you know, close the landfill and file the landfill closure plan, and then we're gonna have a plan
that should be 30 years of us checking all of the effluent and everything else in this plan to make sure that nothing has changed. And in the DEIR, it says, or because the landfill closed in 1967, we're going to waive that 30 years and only do it for 1 year instead. Is that something the DEIR writer made up? Like,
So-
I'm curious where things like that come from.
I mean, I would recommend directing those questions to the city. Again, they're the lead agency and they put together the DEIR, so I don't know. But what I can say is our landfill closure plan and the 2 remedial action plans on the rail yard site have been approved by the relevant agencies. And those went through a public process. They were presented at the BB CAG. So all of that process has happened.
Okay, so
and
either
those-
it's in those plans or the DEIR got it from somewhere else, and I will go find that out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and those plans are available.
Okay.
So if you wanted to review them, and again, I think we can have that discussion separately, but the DEIR, any questions about like what went into that, I would recommend sharing with the lead agency.
Done, thank you.
Okay.
Well, it does affect where you put stuff, because there's stuff that is not in the DEIR that should have been in the DEIR. And they're
Okay.
relevant because they are in areas where you plan to build sensitive things, like a school. So how do we address that? I mean, that's a major concern for me.
Of course, yeah.
And rearranging the specific plan where we've put all the little, colored dots is probably the safest way to protect some of the people that are going to live there from the worst pollutants that weren't even mentioned in the draft DIR.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean when you say rearrange the
Well,
colored
like
dots
for
on the map?
instance, where you have in the specific plan to put a school, or talking about putting a school, where Main Street meets Industrial Way.
Yep.
The draft DIR did not mention anything about the pollution from Lazari fuel that was there from 1969 until it burned to the ground in 2024. And making a mesquite charcoal is a really pretty toxic process where it puts out a lot of PAHs, and then when it burned, that was even more. And I feel strongly that there is a plume of pollution from Midway Village, which is a long-known site. Then their third iteration of trying to make it safe for people to live there. But if there is a plume, that's right where it comes into the Baylands on its way to the water. And then just to complicate things even more, there's no mention whatsoever about lead deposition along Old Bay Shore from 100 years worth of traffic, including diesel and when we had leaded gasoline. And lead is one of the things that is most harmful to children than anyone else. I mean, even in our drinking water thing, I was one of the testees, and it says, lead in drinking water, although rarely the sole cause of lead poisoning, can significantly increase a person's exposure to lead. Health effects of lead. The greatest risk is to young children and pregnant women. Amounts of lead that won't hurt adults can slow down normal mental and physical development of growing bodies. In addition, children at play often come in contact with the sources of lead contamination, such as dirt and dust, that rarely affect an adult. It is important to wash children's hands and toys, etc. And so to me, it doesn't seem like a good idea just because people put that yellow dot there or the green dot or the purple dot when we were having those meetings, that is a good place to put a school.
And I hear where you're coming from
Yeah.
because I agree. I mean, I
Yeah.
have a kid. I want to make sure that, she's safe here. And that is our, like I said, our number one priority is to
Yeah.
make sure that the site is cleaned up. But I do want to clarify that, we do have these approved remedial action plans. And
Right.
part of what those plans do is an analysis of what is on the site, what needs to be cleaned up, and then provides recommendations on how to do that. And so, you know, I can't speak to exactly what contaminants are in there. I can pull up our expert here on
No,
that.
you don't need to. I've read it.
But yeah, but my point is that that is something that is going into this, because any kind of ground level sensitive use,
Right.
we of course need to make sure that it's cleaned up, safe for everyone who's there. And that's why these agencies have oversight over this process. And for right now, that's where the school is situated, and that's part of the plan with the remedial action plan. If for whatever reason that needs to move, I think that's a separate discussion.
Yeah, I mean, we can't change what DTSC and the Regional Quality Control Board has, you know, their big plan for, you know, moving the toxins under a roadway, you know, and considering that safe. And that became really clear as we went further and further into the details of the draft EIR and the data gaps that were not adequately answered.
Yeah. Again, I
But
can't really.
I know. But we can change the scenario by actually moving some of the most sensitive things to an area that would perhaps be a little bit safer or not right in the firing line.
Sure.
So I'm hoping that that is something that BDI is open to
Okay.
as we review this specific plan.
Yeah, I mean, part of this exercise is to get feedback on the specific plan and
Right.
to understand what's important to folks, and that
'Cause-
goes for
yeah.
the location of things and all that. So definitely I'm happy to take that feedback and for us to consider that. But I want to make sure that it is clear that this is something that has been studied extensively, that we are taking seriously.
I know you are. That's why I'm
and-
bringing it up.
Yeah,
Other
I'm
than,
glad.
you know,
I am
instead
glad.
of going home and, you know, just crying about it.
No, of course. No, I want us to have this conversation. And again, I'm sorry that I can't get into the details of
I know.
what's in the DEIR and what was chosen, but I do recommend taking a look at those plans, the two remedial action plans and the landfill closure plan.
Yeah.
Because those are approved and available for public review.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So if we want to go to the next slide, we'll go a little bit more into some of the habitat work for the site. So of course, as you all know, the Baylands used to be part of the bay. And after years of filling for the railroad and dumping of garbage for the municipal landfill, that disrupted the natural habitats and left most of the site without native soils. And so there are 3 habitat strategies for the Baylands that are outlined in the specific plan, and that is protection, restoration, and enhancement/creation. So on habitat protection, some of these areas include the tidal marsh and tidal flat habitat along the Brisbane Lagoon edge, buffer areas, which you can see there around Icehouse Hill, and the stormwater detention area. Restoration is focused on Icehouse Hill, and that includes invasive species removal, shrub encroachment control, and native revegetation to restore butterfly host plant patches. And then lastly, habitat enhancement areas are Visitation Creek and the created freshwater wetlands, upland habitat adjacent to the Lagoon Marsh, and the open space south of Icehouse Hill, and the coastal scrub in the Baylands Preserve Connector, and then finally the recreation areas, since those will be newly created areas as well. For the next slide. So these ecological green spaces are a critical typology that connect the Baylands with San Bruno Mountain, the San Francisco Bay, and the Brisbane Lagoon. And each of these sites are intended to preserve, enhance, and protect the ecological areas while balancing the needs of the community with the protection of habitat resources. On the next few slides, I'll highlight some of the features of these different ecological green spaces, but we'll start on this slide with Lagoon Park. So located along the northern edge of the Brisbane Lagoon, this area includes tidal flats, tidal marsh, grassland, and coastal scrub habitats. As part of the development of this park, Lagoon Road will shift northward in line with the US 101 ramp, and then the area will remain largely naturalized with shoreline improvements, plantings, wildlife crossings, and some recreational or educational opportunities. And to protect the habitats around the lagoon, all proposed passive and active recreational areas or uses will undergo a habitat impact assessment prior to approval or implementation. Next slide. So Icehouse Hill is a unique feature of the Baylands that will receive special care and attention. It's the only portion of the property with native soils, which will support its natural character and habitat value. Restoration plans include planting native butterfly host species and invasive species management. And a pre-construction survey for butterfly larval host plants and special status plants is required to any ground disturbance activities, such as building a trail. But overall, Icehouse Hill will retain its wild character while allowing access with low-impact gravel trails and educational amenities.
So I'm going to ask a quick question here. I noticed that Icehouse Hill wasn't under the protected areas. You specifically ruled it out when you had the 3 bullet items. And
Can we go back to slide 7, I think that was?
you only said it out loud. It wasn't actually written down. You only talked about
Sorry,
the
the
tidal
next
marshes
one.
and the lagoon.
So if you can see there's the 2 different colors of purple. There's the habitat, I know, this is my, the lighter purple shows habitat protection and the darker purple shows restoration. And I do think our colleagues from OJB can probably describe this more eloquently than I can. But essentially, obviously all of Icehouse Hill is going to be protected, but there are different needs on different parts of the hill. So for example, where the firing range is, that has to be remediated and restored. And then there's also areas that need to protect the existing species that are there, but also remove some of the invasives that have taken over. And so there's a slightly different strategy on different parts of the
Okay,
hill.
so I will just, for context, I
Sure.
did my doctoral dissertation on native grasslands in California.
That's
So it is my area of expertise. And what I have found both in the specific plan and the DEIR is a complete lack of recognition of how rare a native grassland is. Part of that's CEQA because it's so fixated on individual species, so they get into the butterfly host as if that's all there is, and that's just factually and biologically incorrect. It is one of the most rare native plant communities in the entire state of California, and that is never called out in anything that you guys have written. And the fact that the bay checker spot butterfly has access to it, that its host plants are there, and they still, in the DEIR, consistently only talked about the lupine species. It looks intentional. And what's very hard to use your maps for is that they're at very different scales. And this is a perfect example. You talk about perennial grassland, then they'll rename it Lasthenia plantago, et cetera, grassland. And then sometimes they'll call it something else. But it's very hard to see what exactly the location of this extremely fragile and important piece of land is. And then you talk about lookout trails and horseback riding and grading that's going to affect a lot of things that will have a huge impact. There's no reason that people are going to stay on the trails. And people stepping on Plantago, which is extremely small and has a very small window of when it has to be available, is completely not represented in anything that I've read so far. And that's a huge concern for me. And you talk about, well, we can just restore it. It isn't that easy. If you look at the literature, people have been trying to restore individual species on serpentine grassland for decades. $700 million PG&E grant, and they still can't get a population of thorn mint back. It's stuff like that. And I think there is a tendency in your documents to assume you can just take a bucket of seed, throw it on the soil, and restore a grassland. I know that seems extreme, but I don't think that the money is there. I think they talk about HOA fees and external grants and all that stuff, but we know this is very expensive, extremely time-consuming. So I just wanted to get that in there now. And I don't feel like the protection of the native perennial grassland is appreciated, and the fact that depending on when you survey it, the interannual variation because of rainfall and climate change makes a huge difference in what you say. So you use the word potential habitat, but the fact is that these communities are expanding and contracting. That has nothing to do with development just because of climate change. And so it's really hard to even defend what a baseline survey means in terms of the long-term protection of this constellation of species whether they're butterfly host plants. We all know those are just placeholders for protecting a community, but there is no representation of a native grassland community in your documents that I can find, and that's a concern for me. And then I'll just let you go because I know you
No,
don't
I
have so much
appreciate
time.
that. I appreciate that. That's really helpful context, and I appreciate hearing that. And I can hear your passion, and I think that's why we're having these discussions, right? Because you can't convey everything in a paper document, and especially the specific plan outlines our intention for the development, but it can't get into every single detail, and that's why it's great to hear this feedback live. And I do want to give Allison or Dylan from OJB an opportunity in case they want to speak a little bit more about the plans for Ice House Hill, because again, they have much more expertise than I do. But I do really appreciate that feedback. It's helpful.
It looks like Allison has her hand up. So.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. I'm Allison Harvey. I'm a principal with OJB Landscape Architecture. I'm a landscape architect. And I can speak to this from the intent of, the open space planning, though I'm not an ecologist. And I think that there is a lot of nuance. I will echo what Katie is saying, that there's a lot of nuance in how you execute the protection plan and the restoration plan that's beyond the specific plan document. But part of the intention of this document is also for at least Ice House Hill to limit the amount of disturbance through the that process of protection and restoration. And I just wanted to note the concern about the path networks that go through there. There's many other considerations that the specific plan took as well, including noise impacts, light impacts to these very sensitive habitats. And with that, I think there's a great opportunity in the future to leverage the expertise from this committee on how the specifics are developed.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you. Sure.
So how do we make, we're going back and forth here and pointing out all what we would like to see. So how do we make sure that these grasses are protected? How does that get in the document?
Well, there's going to be ongoing engagement, I think, with us. Again, the specific plan lays out our intention and the land use details for this project, and that's what feeds into what's ultimately approved by City Council, along with the final EIR, the changes to zoning. But we're still looking at all this at a very high level. Then we're going to move into actual implementation of this plan when we start the remediation, when we eventually start construction, things like that. And that's going to require more engagement with folks like you to actually make sure that the plants that are going in are the things that we want to see in this community, and that we're using the best subject matter expertise to inform the way we're approaching Ice House Hill or any other open space as part of this program.
So do you go back with our comments and voice those with the folks that need to make these changes?
So everything that you're sharing today, we're going to take back to our team. And I know that I think you all are preparing written comments, it sounds like, for the city on the specific plan.
Yeah,
that's
And
correct.
So, yeah, so all of that will be considered. And the specific plan will probably go through some edits before it gets to that stage where it's shared with the Planning Commission and City Council. So we can talk about what that looks like and, what we can do to make sure everyone feels comfortable with the plan that's in place.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, I think if we could go back to slide 9.
Through the chair, I just
Or
want to
10.
do a quick time check. We probably have about 10 more minutes on this item, just so we
Okay.
can get through the rest of our things. That's okay.
'Cause, I have a comment too about where you plan to put the play fields, ball fields.
The community fields.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you have the lead deposition from coming down off of Ice House Hill. But that is also, that's landfill. We know that's landfill because I have photographs that show it as being bay. But I really don't think that's the best place to put that type of fields. And if you do, you want to make sure that it's not fake grass or whatever, There's nowhere there to expand for parking. There's nowhere, there's no, easy public transportation. Most fields like this now are, community fields draw a lot of traffic, a lot of cars, a lot of parents, a lot of kids, a lot of everything. And I've seen, with the soccer fields at Crocker Amazon Park and our soccer fields and we have a parking problem at the Mission Blue when they have a ball field. And there's nowhere there. I'm very familiar with the site, obviously, because of the nursery and also growing up here and being on that site. It's really not, there's not really a lot of room there to do that. And there's nowhere to expand because on one side is Bay Shore, on the other side is the train tracks. And you can't take out the ice house. That's a historical building. So I really think that this is, again, where the specific plan, I remember being there when people were sticking their little stickers there going, oh, this looks like a great place to put a ball field. But it really isn't at all a good place to put that. And it really would, so I don't know how to, convince you to rearrange the little chess pieces on some of these things, but I really think that that's important. And especially if you plan to really, truly protect Ice House Hill the way that you are talking about, then putting a community ball field or whatever right at the base of it where there's but a lot of traffic, cars, etc., is probably not the best placement. It looks good on a flat piece of paper, look good to stick your dot there, but it really isn't a good place to put it at all.
I appreciate that feedback, and I'm glad you mentioned the workshops because that is where a lot of these placements were informed, is through some of that feedback we got from where folks wanted to see different things. And I acknowledge that was probably a few years ago now, and it's helpful to re-engage on this topic and to get more feedback like this so that, again, as we finalize the specific plan and as we go into these next steps to hopefully actually start work here, we have all of that in mind and can take that into consideration.
Yeah, and it really, I know it's two separate entities. Oh, the city prepared the draft EIR or the EIR, and we're doing the specific plan, but they don't exist in isolation.
Sure.
And we cannot, it won't, as we go through the specifics plan, especially after we just went through the draft EIR and saw some of the many inadequacies, and I've attended BBCAG meetings and everything, I think it's really important that we step back a pace. We may not be able to change the science on how the only way to mitigate some of this stuff, but we can change where we put things to create the safest place for these people to live and for all the activities that are going to be there. Because it's not a blank slate. It really is not a blank slate. It is a treacherous, multifaceted landscape.
Yeah, it's a complex
Yeah.
project.
I'm going to vote we let Katie keep going.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Wait, because we also want Anthony to be able to ask a question that's probably not captured in this briefing.
Yeah.
So let's keep going.
Thank you, Erin.
That means
And
we have to go through all the rest of our stuff.
I do.
really fast.
I do want to be cognizant on time. I think this is my last slide, so I'll try and get through the rest of the presentation
Sorry,
quickly
you
so
can
we can
tell
leave a
we
few minutes for
very
questions. But
passionate
no,
about
I
this.
appreciate your passion. And again, this is why we're here. I think we want this to be a dialogue. We want to make sure that we have, the latest informed community feedback. So I appreciate it. Okay, so I'll go quick. Just wanted to highlight these last two ecological green spaces. So on the left side of the slide here, Ecological Park is an area that will receive seasonal rainwater and surface stormwater runoff that will fill dry creek beds and bioswales. And this will be directed to the stormwater treatment areas within the park to improve water quality. This area includes grassland, coastal scrub, and woodland plantings. And in passive recreation areas, there will be nesting boxes to support bats and cavity nesting birds. This park will also include educational programming on stormwater conservation. And the stormwater that flows from Ecological Park will then flow into Visitation Creek, which you can see on the right-hand side of the slide here. And Visitation Creek is part of the connected riparian corridor extending from the railroad right-of-way to the bay. The proposed restoration of Visitation Creek includes freshwater wetlands, and habitat islands, wetland buffers, tidal wetlands, and wildlife crossings and culverts. And the image on the slide here shows some proposed overlooks or interpretive elements that will focus on wetland habitats and sea level rise. So I think the next slide is just my slide to wrap up, and we can go to questions. I did just want to add a couple notes, and then I'm happy to take questions. So again, I know there's a lot of information here, so we are happy to continue this conversation. We can only do so much in our allotted time today, but we are here to discuss. And then one thing I did want to mention is we're working with the San Francisco Estuary Institute to gather some additional subject matter expert opinions and feedback on this chapter. And they are hosting a listening session the first week of November. And so we'd be happy to invite all of you to join us and share additional feedback. So with that,
Where will that be?
we're trying to figure that out. I
Oh,
think we
okay.
may do it in our Flex community space in our office building on Bayshore Boulevard, which is just up the street. But if folks have strong opinions on that, it hasn't been finalized yet. So with that, I understand we have some questions.
Go, Anthony.
Okay, well, I had a few questions about.
Sure.
I was hoping you could go into a little more detail around the thinking around battery storage specifically.
Mhm.
There was sort of the two parts, right? The 30 megawatt distributed solar and storage associated with the buildings, and then there's also the much larger installation associated with the solar farm. I realize you didn't write the document, of course, but
Yeah.
in a lot of the EIR, the one seemed very certain, and then the other was sort of like, well, we might get to it, might not happen, we don't know. So I just wanted to get on that one a sense of sort of where your thinking is at in both of those cases. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that question. Maybe I will have Stephanie answer that one since she's been more involved with the battery than I have.
Yeah.
Thank you, committee members. Just quickly on the battery storage, and I don't want to, again, we were here to talk about the specific plan, which is our document.
Yeah.
I think what a lot of what you were referencing was what you read in the draft EIR, where they're like, basically they've said in the EIR that the battery storage project is not under the direction of either the developer or the city. And so that's why they didn't include it in our energy neutrality equation and in some other parts of the EIR. I don't want to talk about the EIR, I only want to talk about the specific plan.
Well,
But we-
distributed storage was included, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is part of
Right,
our,
okay.
that is part of our project, and that is, we will be the lead on that. The battery storage, the 250 megawatt battery storage, the BESS as it's called, we do have a contract with a third-party vendor to construct, operate, and run that larger battery facility. And, they've invested already, they've put their application into the state grid system to get permitted for the battery. They're in conversations with PG&E to do a tie-in with the battery at the Martin substation on Bayshore. So that project is pretty far along, but it's under a third-party vendor. It is not under our auspices or the city's auspices.
I see.
Yeah.
Is the intent then, you said to operate, would BDI be the ones to operate the?
No, it would be
Going forward, it'd
operated
be
by
the
the
third
private, yeah, it's a private entity. I can talk to you more about this
Yeah, I'd love to
later,
get
but.
more information.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to, but just to answer and just to be careful, because we were here to talk only about our product, which is the specific plan, and not the city's product, which is the draft EIR.
Well, in
But-
that case, I'd love to hear more about what the plan is to have solar and battery storage integrated into the buildings as they go up.
Yeah,
Sort of what the thinking is with that.
right now, you want to hear that, or can we get back to on that? Because right now, the way it will work is they will be, each building has its solar, On rooftop solar. Every building will have rooftop solar and battery, a small ancillary battery for each building. Yeah,
Right, and sort of, I'm assuming scoped to whatever the needs of the building would be.
right,
Right.
exactly, yeah.
Okay. But the plan is to put those in as the buildings go up, not do it after the fact, or?
No, it's as built, yeah, that's the plan,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
And
Okay, yeah, thank you for those distinctions. That's clarifying. And the other thing that I was wondering about, I'd seen in previous documents and meetings, discussion of various vehicle-to-grid scenarios, and noticed no mention of it at all in recent documents, and just wondered if that was something that has since been sort of jettisoned as an idea, or
when you said the VTG program, where you're
Yeah.
charging and it's going to the grid. Yeah, I think we took it out of our formal program, but it's clearly something that I think we still would like to integrate into the program eventually, but for reasons that are not totally clear to me at the time, I don't remember why. We did take it out of the specific plan energy section. But I think but it is something, and you're right, we have discussed it in the past before when we've talked about the energy program for the Baylands. And it is something that, yeah, we'd love to integrate.
okay. I was just curious about that one because I'd specifically remembered it and then didn't see any mention of it at all. So sort of wondered, where did that go?
Yeah. Let me get back to you on that, because I know you're absolutely right. We have discussed it, in a lot of the meetings in regards to our sustainability program, and it is kind of a cool program. I just don't know. I think there may still be a mention of it in the specific plan, but as
I could have missed it. But
yeah. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else? Oh.
So I think it was on your second slide, you talked about revenue projections. I haven't seen any financial data for the Baylands.
Oh, you're talking about the revenue neutrality
Yeah.
Policy.
Yeah.
So that is a requirement under Measure JJ that the project is revenue neutral, or revenue positive, excuse me, for the city. And that's something that will be detailed as the development agreement comes together. And so part of that exercise will be determining a financial impact analysis and understanding like what each phase is going to cost and what are the different funding mechanisms and what is the sequencing of all of these activities. And that will all be in the development agreement, which will be part of that package that goes before the city council.
And the ETA on that is?
We hope next year. It's an ongoing discussion with the city. We don't have a date decided yet for when that will be shared publicly, but we hope, maybe early next year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to pile onto that one. There is a lot of development planned in the area. Some of it is you guys just north of this project. It's all in that cumulative impacts section in the DIR. Sorry, but it's all there, right? So this is like 10% of the projected housing alone that's coming on at the same time. And so if something changes in the economy, we can imagine the phasing for this slipping and could see major impacts to the city if the city's making plans for, moving a fire department and new schools and making a plan for all of this population that never actually comes to fruition or doesn't come to fruition and for 3 times the schedule, bankrupting our tiny little town, right? So are the likelihood and consequences of things like that going to be in the document you just discussed?
Yeah, that concern is exactly why that policy is in place for Measure JJ, because, that is something that the city thought about when this was all discussed in 2018, I believe. So as part of that exercise that I just mentioned, that will be something we look at is, what are we hoping to have in each, increment of development, but also how do we react to different market conditions that may change over the course of the next several years. Yeah.
And how to keep the city financially, it's not neutral, it's
Positive.
financially positive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did have a question. Related to the solar plant, you said it was an outside developer. Is the plan that the full-scale solar plant will be built despite the fact that the Baylands development might not require all that power? Do they have the right to sell that power until, like, is there an agreement? In other words, someone is developing a solar plant that they're going to be selling the power, but they'll give you incremental power as you need, as you develop up. Is that the general plan?
So what Anthony was referring to is the battery storage.
Right.
So
No, I was
it's
talking
not
about the solar
And then,
panels
and then we
themselves.
do have a 50-acre solar farm on the
Right.
project. We don't have a third-party vendor for that at this point in time. And, you know, that's something else that will be worked out, and that may be phased in over time. So, you know, power for phase one but that is designed, that 50 acres is designed to meet our project needs.
I see. It's not the same as the battery.
No, the
not
battery
the same,
is a sort of standalone operation for the state's grid.
Right, right.
So if you know what the problem with the state's grid is, right now it has too much solar.
Right, so it's going to be using that.
And so what the battery storage will do is during the daytime, when there's an excess of solar and renewables, that battery pulls that, stores it overnight, and then at night, when there's no solar, and right now the grid relies on old coal peaker plants, old coal burning plants to run at night. So it's not 100%, you know, anywhere near 100% renewal because of what it has to do at night when there's no solar. So that's why there's an emphasis, a big emphasis now on these battery storage, because then the battery will take the excess energy during the day, and then at night, when that solar drops off, it sends its stored energy back to the grid.
So I guess my same question could apply to the battery storage plant. That would run as a for-profit entity selling power back to the grid when it's most expensive, correct? And it would be built at the largest scale that you wouldn't be using much of that power at all. It would be basically a battery plant suddenly located on that land that's run privately.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's the plan. But it is part of our project and, you know, part of our overall sustainability program.
And is there
And we will-
revenue from that battery plant being used by the Baylands development in your development? Is there a profit share or something, I would imagine?
No.
No. Okay.
We got to work on that part.
Okay. Okay.
And no, actually, to be honest, they're a tenant, so they'll be paying rent to us. Yeah.
Okay.
We did not, for reasons that aren't entirely clear to me, or maybe not to be disclosed, we did not enter into that kind of cost sharing. To be honest, that is a very upfront capital-rich proposal. I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars to put that program in place. So, yeah, you know, if we're going to
Sure. They have to recover that money, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a gamble, but you know.
And it's a
good
gamble,
yeah.
and yeah. So that is not, we did not.
Not much of a gamble.
Thank you.
So just for clarification, there's building-specific rooftop solar feeding a building-specific battery. So that's
Yes.
one conversation. And then there's the solar farm, which may have batteries. And I think it's important to
Yeah.
have that distinction, because when you were talking, I was thinking, but it's the building. You can't, it's not like a big pot. It's specific to the building. But the same concepts are in place in terms of the nighttime storage and the back and forth. But there's almost like little silos of solar. Then there's the solar farm.
Right.
And the,
Julie, I think I need, are you going to clarify?
So, yeah, I just wanted to clarify one thing about so reading through these documents, my understanding was that the BESS was completely separate from the development itself, so that it wouldn't sort of function as like a microgrid or something like that. It's directly connected to the grid. But you seem to say that just there that the solar farm would be feeding directly into the development. Is that
No, I
understand that
mean, I
right, or-
think honestly, all of the solar, the way that works in California, all of that solar goes to the grid.
I
We
see,
get
okay.
credit for it
Okay,
because it's on our property and
Got it,
we've
got it,
built the
okay.
infrastructure, so we get credit for it. But everything has to go to the grid and
So
then
it's
it's
an
distributed. Yeah,
accounting
yeah.
thing, yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's kind of how they've set it up in California.
Everybody good? Because I do
I
have one more.
just one last
Yeah,
question.
okay, and I
Quick,
have one more.
where will all these solar panels and batteries that are no longer useful, where do they go? Do you recycle those? I mean, where do they go?
They can recycle them, that's like.
That's a great question.
Well, I mean,
Mary,
are
and-
they
Yeah.
dumped on the, in some area close to? Yeah, I don't, yeah,
They recycle.
they recycle,
These are valuable materials, they're,
I assume, yeah.
but they eventually go kaputs, right?
Yeah,
then
but I don't know what their lifespan is, and they've
Yeah.
been getting better.
Yeah,
The technology gets
okay.
better almost every year.
okay.
And I don't know what the lifespan
Yeah.
used to be 15 to 20 years. I think they're longer now.
This is a question I asked in the very early days when the plan was just about, it was in draft format, and I was on a call, and the person I go, how do you recycle all this? Where does all this go?
Yeah.
Is it dumped someplace? Where
No.
do you put it? And they couldn't answer it. I mean, I don't think it was too far in advance to mention. Anyway, thank
Oh,
you.
That's a good question.
yeah.
And I do think, I think Anthony's right. There are lots of pieces of it that can be recycled.
Yeah.
But there's clearly there's
There
some
has to
waste
be,
involved. It's,
right?
yeah. It's very hard to
I get it. Okay.
not leave a footprint.
Yes.
The question that I had was, I'm looking at this and I'm like, has the threat from high-speed rail gone away?
You're smiling.
Sorry, elephant in the room.
Smiling is, I think I need to say no comment. Just so you know, we have remained opposed to the light maintenance facility on our property.
Yeah.
And that is still our position. The city did enter into litigation with and have settled a CEQA lawsuit with High Speed Rail. And in that settlement, there is language in there that says they will do a smaller, skinny down LMF on the Baylands. So the original proposal from High Speed Rail was 110 acre on the Baylands with a flyover that was going to take out the fire station and then High Speed Rail came into the first settlement conference and said, forget all of that. We have a much smaller, elegant 45 acre site and we'll use existing track with Caltrain.
Okay. Just curious, because I
That-
didn't see
that-
it on the map.
You're not going to see it on our map, Michelle.
Well, I don't see a space for it either.
And you will,
Okay.
and again, we're only here to talk about our product, which is the specific plan, but you will find a chapter in the alternatives in the draft EIR on the LMF.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry for having to ask that. Curious minds want to know. Thank you all three so much for coming in person and presenting to us and your patience with our angst over everything that's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that the common goal we share is making it the best, safest project we can for everyone.
And the comments here tonight were spectacular.
And I'm sure you didn't
Julie
guess that we'd already read the DEIR first, which is why we're so biased towards that. And we're
I know,
doing
you
the
did it a
specific
little
plan
backwards,
second.
Julie.
Just in case you didn't know, that's why we're so
Yeah,
fixated,
yeah,
because we
yeah.
went over that one with a
Yeah.
fine tooth comb, and this one,
Yeah, but this was very valuable to us too. And, your expertise and your comments tonight were very, very helpful. And so
Oh, God, and we held back too.
Erin, I know you're
Christine-
itching. Did you have one last?
No, Christina limited us 30 minutes, so.
Okay.
We're over about 30 minutes. It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll see you at Day in the Park.
Oh, yeah, we'll have a booth. Come by and say hello.
Okay, we will too.
We'll have our big maps. You can come and
Come
look
by.
at them.
Hey, we will too. We're gonna have butterfly maps.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe that's a separate conversation, but I do think we also have plans for
Habitat-
Icehouse Hill on
yeah.
December.
Mm-hmm.
look
So we're
forward to seeing you
excited
then,
about
too.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be our first habitat restoration day on Icehouse Hill in a really, really long, ever. I think so. Yeah. I don't know, the last big event we had on Icehouse Hill was watching them blow up Geneva Towers. That goes back a ways. Okay. So you guys don't have to stay for the rest of our meeting.
Thank you.
I'm going to
Thank
suggest
you.
they
So
stay
you're
for
welcome
the next
to, of
half
course.
hour, though, because
Huh?
you shouldn't leave. You should just stay and watch for a hot minute.
Oh, it does fit. Yeah, all right, let's hear it.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
I could have, Dolores, you're on, right? So you can provide
Yes.
that. Okay.
All right, so next up, everyone, is your homework. This is Civic Plan comment schedule, which I sent via email, but here it is again. Okay, so just want to reiterate that there is no specific order this time in which we have planned for you guys to read them. So just whatever you get done. The next due date is going to be next meeting in October. So I'll need those comments by Tuesday, the 14th at 9 a.m. And again, just use the template and whatever you have done by then, send it to me so I can get those off to Molly to post in the packet. And then there's no meeting in November. December and November meetings are going to be consolidated for the December meeting, and that'll be the last time that you guys can send comments to me as a group. Everything else will have to be submitted individually up until December 31st. Do we have any questions about this?
Taskmaster. No.
For the all chapters
Yes.
that were assigned as part of round one, is there any opportunity for redemption by going back and addressing those, or that ship has sailed, just move forward?
On the draft
No.
BI, I mean, on this? Oh, no, that ship hasn't sailed. Right, any comments?
Okay, so chapters.
There's no order.
Anything assigned to all is still in play.
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
everything will still be in play until the December.
Okay, we just have more than 2 weeks to do it. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes. So these are the assignments. Any questions? I know, Mary, you weren't there for the last meeting when we talked about this. Any questions, comments, concerns from anybody?
Nope.
Okay, perfect.
Is there a copy of this at the library? Since it's been updated, since I looked at the copy that was there way back in April?
I think,
It's online. I'm not sure if there's a copy in the library.
Could you look into that? It was kind of nice to sit at one of those tables outside with my dog and read 100 pages of this in the sun, as
Yeah, I can-
opposed to the
I can ask
alternative.
them.
Thank you.
Okay. That
Does-
was quick.
does that mean the copy that I have from April isn't correct anymore?
There's some redlining, especially in the land use chapter, I believe.
Yes, there has been some redlining. The copy that was in the packet from, I believe that was last month, is the most updated copy. And what it's on our website. I can go ahead and send you guys the link again as well. The copy that's on the website is the most current version as well.
Okay.
I'll
Alright.
send those both to you.
It's a lot of figure redlining, so you could probably read a paper copy while flipping an electronic copy just to see that the paper's not changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Quarry trail work. And you guys can come to these meetings anytime you want. It's so nice to have live people in the audience. It's like we almost have asked you too many questions because there was real people here. Huh? I know.
Bye, thank you.
Okay. This is the the work that Tony Verreos, he's already begun the work, correct?
Yes, he has.
Yeah, it's a lot. So I'm not exactly sure what we're discussing on this.
I believe you all just wanted to provide the opportunity to express your support for the project, and we had to agendize it for this meeting.
Okay.
So if you wanted to provide your feedback
I think-
and/or support.
I think Mary hikes that a lot.
Yeah, I do. I walk Quarry quite a bit, and I always bump into Tony. And so I always stop and chat. And sometimes I help him. And so he's been like the master of recycling the tree branches to make a border along Quarry Road that helps with water runoff. And it's looking great. It looks natural. And so he's done a ton of work. I think he has one side almost all done. And he does this himself with a smile on his face. And he just, I don't know how many hours he puts in, but the guy's great. And I totally support him, whatever he wants. I mean, I think he should be employed with a staff and take care of Quarry Road and all the trees in Brisbane. And he's that good. I don't know if you guys have bumped into him or have seen him working really hard, but I have, and he's golden. Yeah.
I have a somewhat related observation to make. I was shocked to get a mailing from PG&E notifying me that Brisbane is a high fire risk area. Did you all read that and have your
Yes.
eyes kind of pop?
And then they rescinded it.
Did they? Okay, I didn't open that piece of mail yet because that was like, what?
Yeah.
Thank you. I will stop worrying about being incinerated in my bed.
Sorry, Erin, I apologize. I was not able to get the diagram that you pointed out in number 6. He didn't respond to me quite yet. Once he does, I will send that out to all of you as well.
Okay, because that is, yeah.
It's this section here.
I want to, I think that fire safety and fire resiliency is still a really big issue. But you can sleep okay at night because we're working on it. The city did a remarkable job clearing brush between where the pool is and Humboldt. There still is areas that belong to the school district that need to be cleaned. But that was a major worry for me of, any trails that lead from, where there's a lot of brush can bring fire from the mountain into town. And that's a concern. But also having healthy trees and having healthy underbrush and everything is really important. And Tony doing this work, I think, is wonderful. He's been doing it for a long time. Quarry Road, when they first opened Quarry Road to the public and stopped the trucks from going through there, it was like,
So there's
a haunted forest. You couldn't even get through there. You didn't know that it was really pavement under there. It really was very overgrown over the years.
So he wants our support. I think it's totally warranted. But I just want to point out number 6. Line number 6 is consider adding improved drain across the road per attached diagram. So at the beginning, and he showed me, at the beginning of Quarry, he's proposing putting drainage there. That would, if we had drainage there, that would have prevented the floods that happened a couple of years ago coming into town and demolishing the road all the way down to visitation and the park, right? And so he has a very good point there. And I think that is something that we need to really push on. And I
agree with that. That because that's critical. Because down below Quarry Road, as you're going along Quarry, off of the side where it goes down, there is drainage there that the water could flow into.
But it's not enough.
But it's not enough. But it doesn't flow easily over the road and down into that drainage without having some kind of culvert or some kind of drainage that would lead it away from central Brisbane and into the storm drains that get processed.
Yeah.
So we do want to look at that when it's
Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
Okay, so we may
Yes.
need to bring that back.
Okay.
But at this point, we're definitely supporting. Show of hands, everybody supporting the work that
Yes,
Tony's doing so
Tony.
far.
Do
Go,
we have to
Tony.
make a motion to support and then vote on it, or was that good enough?
I think that was good enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sold. Okay,
And if he's listening, thank you very much.
yes, Tony's been a long champion
Yeah, I mean,
in
he's,
Brisbane.
I know, it's just amazing that he takes so much time to go down to the trail and keep it, it looks great. So, so thank you. Yeah.
Okay, staff updates. Do we have new business? We don't have new business, do we?
New business was Tony's support. Yeah, so staff updates. Huge thanks to you all for your support and coming out to support coastal cleanup last weekend. We had a total of 95 volunteers. 460 pounds of trash were collected. 131 pounds of recyclables. So that's a total of 591 pounds of debris collected. So that was a great success. If you haven't already, please sign up to help us table at Day in the Park. I know that
yeah.
sign up sheet is going around.
I
So
wasn't
far,
able to access the sign-up sheet. I tried twice, and
Okay.
then I contacted Molly,
Okay.
and then
Yes, Molly asked me to reach out to you, Julie, which I did because she is on vacation right now. We can, if you want to call me or email me, I can try to see. Is it not working for anybody else? Is it just Julie?
I
Can everybody-
actually got it to kind of work, which was weird because I'm the one who usually has trouble with it.
maybe, Dolores, before I leave tonight, someone with access,
Or you could
Christina,
just tell her
could
when you
show
want
it to
to.
me.
Or
and
just
if you
tell us-
show me what's available.
Yeah.
We could solve it
Or
right
just
now.
tell us your availability and we'll plug you in.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I would need to see the
yeah, that would work
slots.
too.
Okay.
I don't have any idea what the
I do have a
slots are.
question. I noticed on one piece of material I saw that now Day in the Park is from 10 to 2. It's always been 10 to 3. What happened?
That's correct. It's my understanding that they did shorten it such that it's till 2:00. I understand the majority of folks come for the Derby in the morning. They stay for lunch. They look at the tables and then they leave shortly thereafter. So that was my understanding that Day in the Park was shortened by about an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cleanup, girl. That's cleanup and schlep time. So that's too bad.
Yeah.
Because you go to all that effort to set everything up and then it gets cut short.
Yeah. I will let staff know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've advertised it as being from 10 to 3, and vendors have expected it to be from 10 to 3.
Okay.
And I know that the last hour was when I had the most fun.
I think this is really on Parks and Rec. We should keep going because it's
Yeah,
8.
let's keep going. Okay, so
Yeah.
everybody, please sign up for a shift.
I'm
Please,
out
please.
of, I'm
You're-
out of
oh, and
town.
Mary's
I've
out of
already,
town.
I told
Yeah.
Dolores and Molly, yeah.
Okay, anything else from staff updates?
I just have one thing.
ahead.
Oh, sorry, Christina, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention that December 13th has been confirmed for our volunteer event. So BDI did confirm December 13th as the date for the restoration event at Ice House Hill,
Okay,
Time on that?
to be determined.
okay. The next, any other staff updates?
Dolores?
Yes, I just wanted to, you guys have probably already seen this, perhaps if you've been to the library, but the library display went up a couple weeks ago. And so I just want to give a huge thank you to Ariel and Mountain Watch for providing those discount coupons for plants at the nursery for their next sale. I'm not sure if they're still left, but if you haven't gone and checked it out yet, there were a bunch of coupons that he left for everybody. And that's all I had. Oh, actually, there was one more thing. We had a healthy compost program that we were working on with Bayrock, one of our partners, and for the 2025 kind of season, and it was a huge success. So we just want to thank all of our regional partners for helping us get the word out about composting and all the materials that they were providing to us as the city, which you probably saw in the star.
Yeah, also on staff updates, dumpster weekend.
Oh.
Dumpster weekend is in November.
Isn't it usually mid-November?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
I saw something briefly about it, but we should make sure that people are aware that we're gonna have the 3 days of having the dumpsters for yard waste to clean up your yards and get rid of, only green waste.
I'm looking at Christina, just making sure you're tracking and.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and I think it's, if I remember, I have it on my calendar at home now, but it's the weekend of the November 14th, 15th, and 16th. 15th,
Oh,
16th, and 17th, sorry.
I'll keep up to date on that as well.
Okay. All right. Subcommittee reports and reorganization. I don't think do we have any reorganizing to do? I don't think so at this point.
Pardon the interruption. I just got a text message from staff letting me know that the dumpster dates were November 15th through the 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think we have any reorganization to do right now because we don't have anybody to reorganize. Right? Speak now or?
I agree. I have a couple things that I want to throw on our ideas for our work plan next year, which will affect this, but I can wait until after this. Let's go through this first.
Okay, well, we've done that. And then subcommittee reports, events.
Sorry.
We just asked you all to sign up for Day in the Park.
We've actually got it open live on Anthony's
Okay,
laptop, and we
cool.
are signing up right now.
Oh,
Because
good.
there were only 2 signups. So we thought we'd just get it done tonight.
I'm in there, right? Yeah, okay. Aaron? Okay, great. And then, okay, awesome. And it's gonna be really fun. We're gonna have a big map and butterflies, and it's just gonna be happy time. Okay, education and outreach. We just got an update about the library, which I think is awesome. Is there anything else on education and outreach?
I was talking, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the grabber program that we talked about and put in place. So the grabbers are located at the marina, the library, and the pool. So I was talking to Cliff Lentz, and he mentioned that they were going to put grabbers and buckets at the beginning of Quarry and some other area along the trail that people could use while they're taking a walk to actually pick up garbage instead of having to go to the marina or the pool to pick up a grabber and rent a grabber. So I don't know when that's supposed to happen. I think that is part of an initiative from Park and Rec, but it's kind of weird because we kind of implemented the grabber program through OSAC.
Yeah, I know that was mentioned during our volunteerism discussion.
Yeah.
We launched a volunteerism initiative, and I know that was mentioned. So let me circle back with staff.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, climate action plan?
Mary, imitation is the highest form of flattery. Well done.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and also volunteerism on October 18th in the morning from 10 to 12. There is a volunteerism thing going on here, learning about participating and ideas for volunteerism. So please, I encourage all of you volunteers to come. 10 a.m. till noon. Okay, next is the open space plan update, which obviously we need to work on some more.
Yes.
So let's get a meeting going before the end of the year. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay. Tree issues. I think we have a.
Could we not skip frogs?
Yeah, the frogs.
Nice try. The
Oh,
frogs.
geez,
The
I'm
frogs
Frog
do.
over
sorry.
frogs every time.
You can't leap over the frogs,
It's
Michelle.
It's leapfrog. I'm sorry. I love the frogs.
Can I see the event calendar real quickly? I thought there was a frog event hiding in there somewhere. Where
Yeah, it
is
should be in September.
Thank
Was it
you.
September? No.
It is
oh,
November. Frog habitat maintenance. Oops.
Whoops.
Oh, okay.
So when,
And then there was another one,
In
about
August,
dating.
yeah. So
which didn't happen.
I
Okay.
don't know if Paul Buscal is reaching out to you, Dolores.
He
Um,
is not. And
okay.
I
Kinda
was just going to
disappeared.
ask if you want me to kind of help you liaise with
Yes.
him.
Yes,
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay.
because we need to
can
do
do
some
Because we would like
planning.
to pull together a group of folks like last time to go down to the habitat and do what he needs us to do and get in the routine of doing that. So it becomes, a standard.
sporadic.
Yeah. I mean, it was great the last, when we all got together and we cleaned up. We had a ton of people.
Was there a lot of stuff?
There was, I mean, yeah, a lot of folks just directed, like I didn't know what I was doing, like what plants or what weeds to pull. So Julie and Paul kind of directed us for that. And then we did a lot of cleanup.
I think it would be good to get some energy going on the signage. I think that I will
Yes.
just bring up again, did we ever liaison with the owner who destroyed so much habitat last time? Or is that person still missing in action? And if after all this time they're still missing in action, what's the next step to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I know there were discussions happening such that they were trying to get a meeting together. Let me see if that meeting actually happened.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just thinking,
So, Crocker Frog Habitat, would you like me to set a meeting up with Paul, or what were your thoughts about that?
Yeah, if you can get, I mean, I'm down for like half an hour just to quickly talk about setting up another habitat day.
Yeah, because it'll come too soon. So let's get the planning all done because
Yeah.
we've got a lot of competing.
We have a lot of
things
stuff
to
going
do.
on. Yeah.
I
And you're
just
not reading.
was thinking
documents.
on November, that weekend, we have the dumpsters. That might be a
Oh,
really
yeah.
great time to have a cleanup because maybe they would like give us a dumpster. Or at least there's dumpsters we could dump in.
Well, yeah, because you know what happened at the first one, the last one, all the weeds we threw over in a corner, right? And I don't know, someone was going to pick it up. I don't know. But that would be great if we had a dumpster. Then it just makes life easier.
And I think since that live Touch a Frog event at the library, which nobody seems to want to own, but that we know happened, there'd be no reason not for our committee to maybe have another one because we know people got bounced out of it last time or something similar to that. Because that would be outreach.
Yeah. And we
And
don't
it
know
was
who
really
we don't know who
popular.
organized that.
Yeah, we don't know who organized it.
Yeah. It was weird because some people got turned away.
A lot of people.
So many people that
Once
did
it started,
frogs.
they wouldn't let them in.
They wouldn't let them in. Yeah.
These people came in like 10 minutes late and they were told they couldn't enter. They were mad.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
be on
So it
time.
wasn't an OSEC sponsored.
I think that if we
event.
organize one, it should be walk-ins allowed.
I guess I don't know the circumstances, so
Nope,
they
none of
probably
us
had a
do.
reason for that.
No, so ours will be different.
Yeah.
But I think a
We-
Touch a Frog event would be good.
We do have tree issues coming up. I think we have a meeting scheduled.
Yes, we do. I think it's on the 29th with Molly.
And then we are all doing Baylands specific plan.
Yeah.
And then inactive committees we haven't had a meeting with the council for a long time. Baylands subcommittee, we haven't done that for a long time. Sierra Point Park planning, that hasn't happened either. Whitman Science Fair,
When is that?
huh? When what?
When is that science fair?
January,
No, it's usually like February.
February.
So
Yeah.
soon enough.
Okay. And then PCA grant, we have a meeting coming up, Aaron, on that. Okay. So that's actually goes up into active for next time.
So just not to be negative, but if anybody's on committees with events that are going to be after the first of the year, but this term limit thing is lurking, then we probably should address that sooner than later.
I was just, term changing.
Yeah.
So there are 4 of us, because they juggled the schedules. So we're already down 1 member. And Mary, me, and Aaron are all up for whether we're going to re-up or not.
Ah, okay, that's not what I understood him to say.
Wasn't it?
I didn't get a notice about that. Are you sure I am?
Oh, I don't know.
They said it was somewhere online that you could look it up.
To
To
Yeah, let me
staff,
look.
is that listed?
It should be listed online on the
Yeah.
OSAC website, so we can check, yeah.
Because that's a big chunk of the
Because
committee.
I thought I had another year, and then I found out that they had juggled things around, and it's,
Yeah, let me check with the city clerk who manages a lot of that.
Because that
and
could really
see.
affect some of these committees, big time.
oh, yeah,
Okay.
big time.
And if so, we can agendize that.
Okay.
Right.
And so, but we are at least one person down, and so please, people out there, if you have a passion for this, fill out an application. Applications, I believe, are due November 5th. So, let us know. Okay, on to,
Oh, hang on. I've got one more for that. So we talked at the beginning of the meeting about the process for adding invasives. So I'm going to recommend for our work plan for next year, because I don't have time this calendar year, that we bring back the invasive species subcommittee, and with the one goal of developing the process and then making that committee inactive for the rest of the time. So it's a minimal amount of work, but it's work that needs to get done. And then the second thing is new business, I guess, sorry, maybe. Well, this is for the agenda whenever we do the work plan. The state of California has put in new rules about hardening your house. 5-foot setbacks, wood, trees, bushes, all of that stuff. And that is going to happen regardless of what we desire. But I feel like it might be in OSEC's best interest to kind of dive into that and see what we can do to make sure that people comply with that, because it's super important, but also don't just pave with concrete, because then we end up with drainage issues, like you mentioned earlier today. So
Yeah.
I feel like OSEC could have a study, assess, educate component that would help our whole town with that.
so that's almost like a new subcommittee.
That's a new subcommittee.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that needs to get on a work plan, which means a new subcommittee.
Yeah.
And the new people don't know this, I hate subcommittees. I think we should pick like 2 issues and focus on them, so that I just put 2 new subcommittees on means I think that's important stuff.
I agree. Okay, and do we need a consensus on that? Does everyone agree?
No, I think maybe awkwardly, should I say, can we add it to the agenda when we talk about our work plan for next year?
Yes.
I don't know how, can somebody capture that in the minutes so that we remember to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay.
Captured.
Captured.
I don't know if you're allowed to unsee it on camera.
Calendar items is next. And is there anything that needs updating on the calendar items? November winter cleanup, frog habitat, let's see, October sunsets.
Are you writing an article on the coastal cleanup? Is that what that Star Articles column is?
Pardon? No, there's already an article that was written on the
Oh.
coastal cleanup.
Sorry.
It was in today's blast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was working, sorry.
It was just a little short. My picture was in it. You missed it? You can go read it now. It's online. No, not now. I mean, now later. I don't think there's anything on the calendar, is there? Going once, going twice? Everybody good? Everybody have all the important date marks, like, day in the park and all that? Okay.
And one more thing, thanks to Christina and Michelle for giving us a timed agenda, because otherwise we would not have gotten out of here until an hour from now.
Well, you can thank Christina.
Thank you,
Because
Christina.
she reached out and
I
said,
just
"Molly."
want to make sure that we can get through everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and last time I just guys let everybody talk their hearts out, because we all worked so hard on the draft DIR, but we couldn't really go through all of the questions and comments in an organized manner during a meeting, because it would have taken us till Thursday. So I just wanted everybody to have an opportunity to say what was near and dear to their hearts about all of that.
What time did you get out last meeting?
Close to 9.
It was late.
It was late. Yeah,
I'm curious, Anthony, did you get any feedback on your lovely blast article? Do you have any way of knowing if it had an impact?
I honestly don't know. I haven't heard a thing, so.
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a comment section right on the city website,
man.
so.
We need to, okay, everybody
we
who liked
can-
it, raise your hand.
We can look at, there might be some Google Analytics we can pull, yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, I take that back, though. There is one resident that I've been in contact with, kind of feeding information about, oh, you could look at this, or you could check out, this particular device, and she's.
Was it Karen?
No. She's pretty far along. She's actually pulled the trigger on some things and used PCE, their loan program and things. So yeah, it's working for some. I know at least one person it's working.
Good. I thought it was good. And then I thought, oh God, I don't think I can do that. But
Well,
Yeah.
it's all coming up pretty quick. Isn't it?
okay, so this is the time when we say chair and committee member matters. Anybody have a chair and committee member matter? Going once, going twice. We're adjourned. Okay. Thank you all so much.